Hi, I'm Scott, 31, and on our first wedding anniversary, my parents booked a romantic venue, just not for us. They gave it to my sister. Again. She hijacked the entire thing to re-celebrate her 5th anniversary, like weddings now had sequels. That night, I left mid-party, holding Julia's hand, and didn't look back. 2 years later, I built a whole life without them, and that's when Mallory had her meltdown. The kind that shakes a family like a snow globe and makes you decide who you really are when it all settles. Let me tell you what happened. The bistro incident was a door closing, but not the quiet kind. It was the slam that echoes down a hallway for months. After that night, I didn't just pull back from my family, I started tracking everything. Not in anger, not yet. In disbelief. I needed proof that I wasn't imagining it. So I made a spreadsheet. Scott's greatest hits, expenses, emotional labor, and macaron towers. Every time someone forgot their wallet, it went in. Every time I bought cupcakes for a birthday I wasn't invited to, I added a row. I even documented the $147 Julia and I spent replacing the candles from Mallory's boutique shoot because the aesthetic didn't feel autumnal enough. Julia didn't laugh when I showed her the sheet. She looked at me the way a nurse looks at a swollen ankle and says gently, "That's not supposed to be that color." We muted the group chat. Sunday visits became quiet Sundays. We bought folding chairs and used our Costco membership on ourselves. It felt weird. It felt holy. But my family doesn't like vacuums. And absence? It's a challenge. So when I started saying, "No," they started saying, "Why are you acting like this?" And when I kept saying, "No," they started calling it betrayal. The big break came on a Tuesday. Julia and I were eating pierogi in sweatpants watching Jeopardy! When my mom's text came through. "Hey sweetheart, Mallory's candle brand is launching a new subscription line. She's doing a friends and family investor round. Just $10,000 to start. You're so good with numbers. Could be fun." I stared at it. Julia leaned over, read it, and said, "You wanna laugh, cry, or block her? Let's do pierogi in process," I said. We didn't reply. That's when things shifted. 3 days later, Mallory went public. Passive-aggressive quotes on her business page. "Some people only support you when it benefits them." Greg posted a story of himself lifting weights captioned, "Carrying the whole family like always." I almost admired the audacity. Almost. Then came the group chat nuke. "Mom. Scott, I don't recognize you anymore." "Dad. We're not asking for much." "Mallory. Hope you sleep well knowing your niece won't go to camp because Uncle Budget decided to be selfish." That was it. I screen capped the whole thing, archived the chat, and typed out a message to everyone. It was short. "I love you. But this isn't love. Please don't contact me unless it's about reconciliation, not redistribution." I hit send. And for a moment, it felt like I jumped off a cliff. But then Julia grabbed my hand, kissed my temple, and said, "Took you long enough." That was the day I stopped bailing their boat. I started building mine. We thought the silence would last. That it might even turn into peace. But peace doesn't sell in my family. Drama does. And by month 3, the campaign against me was in full swing. It started with an Instagram story. Mallory, in a cozy white sweater, candle flickering in the background, said, "Family isn't about money. It's about being there. Especially when things are hard." Julia leaned over my shoulder and said, "That candle's called gaslight, isn't it?" Next came the mail. A handwritten letter from my mom. Pale pink stationery. The kind she saves for sympathy cards and recipes. It read, "Scott, we miss the old you. The one who gave without keeping score. This new version feels cold. We raised you better." Julia said, "She's trying to weaponize warmth." Impressive. I didn't reply. We doubled down on living. I picked up extra shifts at the pool. Julia joined a volunteer doula collective. We started saving for a used car that didn't scream. 2006 nostalgia. Sundays became our own tradition, pancakes, bad jazz, open windows. And then, right when the air felt clear, we got invited to family reset dinner. I laughed. Julia raised an eyebrow. "You wanna go?" "Kind of," I admitted. "I wanna see what they think reset means." We went. We brought a bundt cake. Passive aggression looks better when it's lemon glazed. The table was full, neighbors, cousins, even a friend of Greg's who once called me Budget hot at Thanksgiving. Everyone smiled like it was a commercial for reconciliation. Until dessert. That's when Mom pulled out the folder. Here, she said, cheerful. We had an idea. It was a spreadsheet. Titled Family Plan. There were color-coded columns for each of us. Scott blue. Mallory gold. Nate gray. Julia got a footnote. Contributions, percentages, expected support. Dad's knee surgery. The water heater. The candle relaunch fund. All with my name circled. Twice. I looked up. You want me to pay off your debt and fund your dream? Mallory blinked. It's not just my dream. It's the family. You are the family, I said. I'm the backup generator. Greg leaned in. It's not personal. It's proportional. Proportional, Julia repeated. Like how you proportionally stole our anniversary dinner? Dad said. We're just trying to keep everyone afloat. I sat back. Then maybe stop drilling holes. The room fell silent. I looked at my mom. You forged my signature on the HOA check. That was months ago. You gaslit me at my own wedding. It was one night. You've been asking for favors dressed up as fairness for 10 years. That's not fair. No, I said. It's not. And then I stood up, kissed Julia's cheek, and said, We're leaving. You always were dramatic. Mallory snapped. No, I said. I was quiet. You just mistook silence for permission. We left the bundt cake. But we took our power with us. The meltdown didn't come in one big explosion. It came in pieces, each one louder than the last. 3 days after the family reset dinner, I woke up to 42 missed notifications. Greg had gone live on Facebook. The caption read, Being taken advantage of by your own blood? Let's talk about it. Julia stared at my phone and said, Is this satire? It wasn't. He sat in their backyard, hoodie on, coffee in hand like some sad suburban philosopher, ranting about how people with steady jobs and no kids don't understand sacrifice. At one point he said, We never asked for handouts, just honor. He pronounced it like honor and stared meaningfully into the camera for 5 full seconds. It got 3 shares. 1 from Mallory. 1 from my mom. And 1 from a woman named Charla who once asked if my swim clinic offered doggy paddling for actual dogs. It would have been hilarious, except I knew what was coming next. The shame calls. First it was Aunt Carol. They're just hurting, sweetie. You know Mallory's sensitive. Then Cousin Ellie. She posted some stuff. People are getting the wrong idea. Then Nate. Switzerland Nate. On speaker from an airport lounge. Just call her, man. Say sorry for the tone. You don't have to mean it. Julia threw a pillow at the phone. I didn't call. I posted a photo of my kids at swim clinic instead. Grinning in goggles, making peace signs. I captioned it. Teaching them to float. Financially and emotionally. Passive-aggressive? Sure. Effective? Oh yes. That's when Mallory snapped. She showed up at the pool. Unannounced. In full candle launch cosplay. White jumpsuit, acrylics, and stilettos on wet tile. Julia saw her first. Incoming, she muttered. Brace for maximum sparkle. Mallory marched across the deck like it was her runway. Greg trailed behind her, phone out, filming. You don't get to pretend you're the good guy, she snapped, loud enough to bounce off the tile. I glanced at the kids, who were now frozen mid-cannonball. One boy said, Coach? Is this part of the warm-up? Nope, I said. This is advanced emotional rescue. Don't play cute, she said, jabbing a manicured finger at me. You turned the family against us. I turned the group chat on mute, I replied. That's not the same thing. She stepped closer. Greg zoomed in. You embarrass me. You made me look like a grifter. You did that by charging $35 for a soy wax candle called empathy. I'm trying to build something. So am I. A life that doesn't require bankruptcy via sibling. Mom appeared at the gate breathless, heels in hand. Julia leaned toward me. She brought reinforcements. Dad wasn't there. He'd learned after the last showdown. Mom looked around the deck and said, Can we just talk privately? I nodded. Then turned to the kids. 5-minute break. Grab water. No recording. Greg lowered his phone, but not his attitude. In the office, with chlorine still in the air, Mom's voice cracked. Your sister's struggling. So are we, I said. We just don't expect a group rate bailout. She's scared. She's used to me catching her. I stopped. She's your family. And I'm hers, I said. But I'm also someone's husband. Someone's coach. Someone's soon-to-be dad. Mom gasped. Julia stepped forward. Yeah. We're expecting. Even Mallory blinked. Mom whispered, Why didn't you tell us? Because the last time I tried to share something special, I said, you handed it to her. Silence. Greg muttered, Congrats or whatever. Mallory's eyes narrowed. So this is the big power move? Baby as leverage? Julia stepped forward. Calm. Clear. Steel under silk. No. This is the reason we're done letting you hijack our joy. And just like that, Mallory's performance cracked. You'll regret this, she hissed. You'll wish you hadn't frozen us out. I looked her in the eye. I don't need to freeze you out, I said. You melted your own bridge. It took exactly 36 hours for the narrative to flip. By Monday, Mallory had posted a 14-slide Instagram story titled, When Your Own Brother Betrays You. The slides were a mess of moody selfies, filtered quotes. Sometimes the knife comes from your own kitchen. And a voice memo clip where Julia said, We're expecting. Cropped conveniently before anything else. She tagged her Candle Brands account. She tagged our pool. She tagged me. Slide 9 featured an old photo of us as kids at the lake, arms slung around each other, overlaid with. He changed. He used to be kind. Julia saw it before I did. She texted. She turned a baby announcement into a villain arc bold. I laughed, but my hands shook. Because even if no one believed her, even if the views were just from bored mutuals and curious old classmates, it still hurt. Watching your history with someone weaponized into an aesthetic. By Wednesday, someone from the Parks Department called. Apparently a concerned citizen, filed a complaint that I was operating a swim program on public property without proper certification. They knew I was certified. I'd been working with them for years. Still, it triggered an audit. Julia found me sitting in the bathtub, clothes on, dry, lidless peanut butter jar in hand, just staring at the tile. They're trying to bury you in paper, she said, kneeling down. But you built your whole life on receipts. And she was right. So I got up. I printed every permit, every signed waiver, every coaching credential from 2009 onward. I emailed the department head with a zipped folder so thorough it probably crashed her inbox. She responded with one sentence. Coach, you're good. See you Saturday. We high-fived over frozen waffles. Still, the storm kept coming. Greg posted a review of the swim clinic on Yelp. 1 star. Coach Scott is unprofessional and hostile. Saw him yell at a woman in white. The next review? 5 stars from someone named definitely not Julia. It read, Best swim coach. Teaches kids and boundaries. Would trust him with my child and my taxes. Julia winked. Balanced the algorithm. Aunt Carol called next. Voice tight. Honey, your sister's talking about suing. For what? I asked. Emotional duress and brand defamation. I snorted. Tell her to add misuse of glitter to the list. Carol sighed. Look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, this is ugly. It's always been ugly. I said. We just used to pretend it was a centerpiece. That weekend, we went to the farmer's market like nothing was on fire. We bought peaches. Julia got a sun hat. A kid from the pool spotted me, shouted, Coach, and ran up to hug my leg. His mom said, He won't stop practicing in the tub. My water bill hates you. It was the first time in weeks I laughed without flinching. But the real turn came Sunday morning. We were setting up folding chairs for a community fundraiser when my phone rang. Blocked number. Julia looked at me. You don't have to. I know. But I answered anyway. It was my dad. His voice low. Fragile. Scott, he said. Your mom's not doing great. My stomach clenched. He continued. Stress. Anxiety. She's not sleeping. She misses you? There was a long pause. Then he added, like it cost him everything. We were wrong. The words didn't feel triumphant. They felt like a wall finally cracking. Do you want to see her? He asked. Only if we're not pretending, I said. No pretending, he promised. Just your mom. And maybe a chair in the shade. Sunday afternoon, I stood at my parents' front door for the first time in 10 months. Julia stayed in the car. Not out of spite, just solidarity. She said, "You go in first. I've got backup snacks if this turns into emotional dodgeball." Inside, everything looked the same. But quieter. Like the house was trying not to breathe too loud. Mom was in the living room. Her legs curled under her, blanket over her shoulders, like she'd built a small fort out of fabric and discomfort. When she saw me, her face folded. Not in tears, yet, but like someone who just realized the floor was uneven and had been for a long time. "I wasn't sure you'd come," she said. "I wasn't sure either." Silence. Then, "You look older." "I feel it." She patted the spot on the couch. I sat. Carefully. Like the air might crack. She whispered, "We didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't mean not either," I said. Not angry. Just true. She flinched. Then said, "I miss you. Not your money. Not your time. You." I believed her. That was the problem. I loved my mom. Even when she let Mallory reroute the train and handed me a single ticket to be grateful. I said, "I'm going to be a dad." She put both hands over her mouth and made a sound that wasn't a word, just feeling. Then she reached for me, and for the first time in years, the hug didn't feel like an apology trap. Just a mom hugging her son. I stayed for coffee. Dad joined us halfway through. He looked at me like someone who'd survived an avalanche and found out the person who dug him out was the kid he used to lecture about light switches. We didn't rehash everything. We didn't need to. But before I left, he cleared his throat and said, "We sold the second car." I blinked. "We're downsizing." "Your mom's baking again." For joy, not income. "We're meeting with someone at the credit union. And we're not helping with the candle thing anymore." I raised an eyebrow. He held up both hands. "She forged our name on a business loan application." Julia's eyebrows would have flown off her head if she'd heard that. "She said she was manifesting," Mom added. "I said she was manipulating." My jaw actually dropped. "We told her no," Dad said simply. She screamed. We didn't scream back. She left. And we didn't chase her. Mom finished. I stared at them both. These two people who once gave Mallory the key to our anniversary night like it was a favor. Now drawing a line. Now saying no. And for once, meaning it. I stood up to leave. "Scott," Mom said quietly, "do you think maybe we could be invited to a swim meet sometime?" I paused. "You bring folding chairs?" Dad nodded solemnly. "And snacks." "Then yeah." I smiled. "You're on deck." When I got back to the car, Julia handed me a juice box and a fist bump. "Well? I think they're trying." "That's new." "Yeah," I said. "But so am I." That night, we sat on our couch, our uneven, sagging couch, and Julia tucked her feet under mine. "Are you okay?" she asked. I thought about it. Then nodded. For the first time in a long time, yeah? And I meant it. Because forgiveness, real forgiveness, doesn't mean letting someone back into your bank account. It means they can sit beside you without pretending the past didn't happen. They just don't get to rewrite it. We didn't block her number. Didn't file anything legal. We just stopped replying. Stopped showing up for the roles we were assigned, the wallet, the backup plan, the one who always says yes. Instead, we said no. Quietly. Repeatedly. Until the silence grew roots. Mallory never apologized. Not once. She posted quotes like, "Don't expect loyalty from people who only loved you when you were useful." Greg reposted it with a caption. "Lessons were learned." And by lessons, he meant consequences. By learned, he meant avoided. Mom stopped defending her. That was the shift. Not an apology, not a reckoning, just a sigh. A long, slow, "I'm tired of pretending." She texted Julia on a Tuesday. "We're clearing out the garage. Found some old swim trophies. Want them?" Julia read it out loud and said, "That's as close to we miss you as we're getting." We took the trophies. Put them on a shelf in the baby's room. Not as pride, just history. A record of who I was before I remembered who I am. We painted that room green. Calm green. Soft green. The kind that catches light and turns it into peace. We didn't say the word nursery until we heard the heartbeat. Even then, we said it soft. Like a secret. And when our daughter was born, with 10 perfect fingers and a scream like she'd already survived something, we didn't send a group text. We sent one photo to my parents, Elise, sleeping in a blanket Julia knit, under a little hand-painted sign that read, "Kick steady. Breathe when you need. Float when you're tired." They came by the next day with a lasagna and new socks for Julia. They didn't ask to stay. They washed the dishes. They didn't mention money once. And when they left, my dad kissed my forehead the way he did when I was 5 and scared of thunderstorms. Only this time, he looked scared. Scared of losing us again. He said, "We'll try harder." I said, "We already see you trying." That night, Julia curled up beside me and whispered, "It's better, right?" And I whispered back, "It's real. That's better than perfect." Mallory sent one last package, a candle labeled, "New Beginnings." No note. No apology. We didn't light it. We donated it to the church thrift table. Because sometimes peace isn't soft music and reconciliation. Sometimes it's a locked door, a paid-off credit card, and a baby who sleeps through the night. Sometimes it's pancakes at 10 p.m., and a life that fits in your chest instead of dragging behind you like luggage. We built that life ourselves. And no one gets to steal it again. Not for a dinner. Not for a toast. Not for a birthday redo. We left the party. And nothing collapsed. The quiet didn't kill us. It saved us. And in the room we made for her, our daughter floats safe in the life we fought for. Not revenge. Just peace. Just ours.